Okay? So, in your head, on your template, if you don't have it, you need to add a style tag. So make sure you put a style tag inside the head. Okay? So at this point, style. There we go. Okay. In our style tag, we're gonna identify any div with the class of thumbnail. So we're gonna put div.thumbnail. Now, we could leave the word div out and just put .thumbnail, and that's fine. Either one of those works. Since we don't have any other tag with the class of thumbnail, that's actually probably a good idea, so I'm just going to delete it for now. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it here so it's easier for you to identify that it's a div with the class of thumbnail. Okay, first things first. What we're going to do is we're going to float all of our divs. We're going to set a width to it, and we're going to push them to the left-hand side of the screen. So, now the width of your thumbnail should be the width of the image. So all of our thumbnails, if you did what I did, the width of the thumbnail would be 200 pixels. So set the width to 200 pixels. Second, float it to the left. Save your changes and view it in the browser and see what happens. I'm just going to relaunch it in Chrome. And sometime today it'll open up. There we go. So we set it and we floated it. Now we can see all of our images are starting to line up. And that was just by setting the width and floating it. Notice the captions under our image. The captions fit within that width as well because they're inside of the div. And we have some problems here. They're too close together. We want to add a border, maybe change some colors. And one row is longer than the other. We're going to make them 3 rows of 3. Or we could do them in rows of 4, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So, set the width, we floated it. Next step, let's put a border around it. And let's use the border shortcut. The border shortcut is just write border, and then you have to write the thickness. We're going to make it 1 pixel. The style, we'll make it solid. And the color, for now, we're just going to make it gray. So we'll just give it a value of 7. Let's see, if it's 0, it'll be very dark. So we'll just put 222 semicolon. So that gives it a 1 pixel solid dark gray border. Save your changes. Of course, when you're done, wrong page. So hit refresh. Okay, now we have a border. It's gray. Okay, and what we want to do now is put a little bit of spacing around the image and the text. So for that, we're going to add a little padding. Let's try 5 pixel padding. Save your changes. Go back to your page. I'm going to move this over here a little bit so you can see both. Now, once we add padding, notice there's a little bit of space outside of the image going around the text. And if I resize this, notice what happens. Okay, the idea of a float is as long as there's room, it'll line up, each piece will line up side by side. Okay. However, did you notice how close all of the content was? Those borders are touching each other. We want to push the borders apart by at least, I'm going to say 10 pixels. It's up to you. So we want to push what we want to do is we want to push the images that are to the right over 10 pixels and the boxes that are underneath, push them down 10 pixels. We're going to do that with margin. So I'm going to put on here margin. Do a margin right, let's do 10 pixels. And a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Save your changes. Hit refresh. Notice now they're all pushed apart, so we got a nice even space. Other things I recommend you set is possibly color and background color. So let's go ahead and put those in there while we're thinking about it. And I'll just put a dark color, darker even than the border. and then a background color of a real nice light color. And to make it light, it should be almost full. So we'll try an E9, E9, E9. Save our changes. Take a look at it, hit refresh. There we go. So we got a background color, we got a text color. Looks good. Okay, and at this point now, any styling you do to the thumbnail, colors, background colors, border color, will enhance it. When you are done adding this code here, and when I'm done with the tutorial, I would like you to grab your own color palette and do your own combination of colors. So these will just be a placeholder until you can find something different. And we need to address one last problem. And that is the problem of the width of our image gallery. Now, you might not find that a problem. Maybe you like that. But I want to show you how to make it so that your divs can push each other down. And I'm going to do it in a way that's not in the tutorial. Okay? I am going to add a class, and we're going to call it clear float. Okay, so you're going to put dot clear float. And this is going to be a class, and basically what it's going to do is anything you put this class of clear float, it's going to move it to the next line and push it underneath. Okay? And so the property is clear. Okay? What clear does is it stops wrapping around the floated item. So we're going to put a clear float. Now, we were floating everything to the left, but we're just going to put clear. We could do clear right, we could do clear left, or we can do clear both. And I'm going to do clear both because it won't matter whether it was floated to the left or floated to the right. It will clear it. Now, all we have to do here, guys, and this is really important here, this is a class of clear float. We know it's a class because it starts with the dot. Anytime you want to push a div to the next line, and I would do this every fourth div, just add a class of clear float. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this to the other view. So we have two versions. One has our CSS, and the other I'm going to focus on the HTML. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to collapse all these divs, and I can do that Notepad++. If you don't have Notepad++, you're just going to have to scroll. And what I'm trying to do is identify every fourth div with the class of thumbnail. Okay, so here's number 4. I'm going to put a space, and I'm going to, oops, wrong one. Put a space, and I'm going to write clear float. Now watch what happens when I save my changes and view it in the browser. Do you see what happened? I applied it to the fourth div. This is the one that has clear float. In fact, I'll identify it just so you can see. Watch this. I'll put a header too, and I'll put clear float. And I just want to show you, because here's where it is, and I added a class of clear float. So after thumbnail, I put a space, and then I wrote clear float, and I make sure it's spelled exactly as it is up here. So let's take a look at that again. Hit refresh. Now you see that header saying clear float, so you know that that is indeed the one that was cleared. So you just do it every fourth. Now, go ahead, don't put the header 2 in there because it looks really bad. I'm going to go ahead and collapse it, and now I'm going to go 4 more. 1, 2, 3. This would be the fourth, I mean. Now, in the CSS Max Design tutorial, they had to actually create a new tag, but I like just adding clear float. I'm going to save my changes. And now I'm going to hit refresh. And now I have my thumbnail image gallery. They are lined up 3 by 3. And the way I did that is by adding that little clear float for my CSS and adding the class to whatever div I want to push down to the next line. So this clear float basically starts a new line. Any questions on that? Okay, your job then is to style it up and then make it look good. Pick a good color palette and maybe play around with some fonts and things like that.